Yeah, I think so. During the busy part of the season when waterfowl guides are in the field with clients, like right now, like you are, Hunter, one of the big misses that they have that can actually affect their season coming up is forgetting that there's roadshow season right after the season. And you have to start signing up for those things now. You have to start getting on a wait list. You got to start putting your deposits in for the ones that you've already gone to. And that's probably already happened too for the ones that you got to do the deposits on, but you are missing out on a huge opportunity if you let the hunting season distract you right now from what is going to be happening in the future and for the next season and getting those clients. So, Hunter, I wanted to talk specifically about road shows this week. While it might seem kind of, it's out of everyone's mind, it's out of sight, out of mind right now, but I think it is really important for people like you who are looking to grow their outfit to start talking about these opportunities and taking action on them. So, Hunter, I know you've done really well at road shows, and I just want to kind of hear y'all's experience on doing those and what they've done for you.
And road shows, they are a secret success. I mean, they're hidden. No one goes to them, at least outfitter wise. I mean, okay, that like not nobody, but like hardly anybody goes to them. And we've had like our best road show was Delta, Waterfowl, and Little Rock. It wouldn't have been the Baton Rouge one, but it would have been last year at Little Rock. We did $60,000 in bookings just from the like during the road show they booked at the show, and it's insane to see what you can do when you can get face to face with your clients. You can meet them, sell them the hunt, and do everything like handshake all the way to the end of the sale in person. Like it defines the difference between a phone call or an email versus knowing exactly who you're hunting with. It gives the client a lot more comfortability to talk to you and to want to learn about your operation, what you do. And like that makes them feel a lot more comfortable with where their money's going and they're ready to pay faster. But then on top of that, it goes the recognition. I mean, all of our brand partners, all of our people we work with, all the waterfowl industry, I would call them the high ups in the waterfowl industry, all of your CEOs, your brand managers, your marketing directors, all those big people for all these big brands, they're almost always going to be at the road shows. And there's a small group of people that go to all these road shows and they know each other. You start knowing a few of them, and next thing you know all of them, and they're all connections to have in the industry. On top of that, you get to meet other outfitters, you get to meet new brands, you get to meet some smaller brands. Like we made one of our best brand deals from a company that we met at the road show at Delta in Baton Rouge. They're these guys that sell these ice eaters, and they run off solar panels, so you don't have to go check them. So you can keep a pond open. You know, it's got a timer it runs off of, runs the pond open year round. We made a brand deal with them, and I ran into them at the Baton Rouge show. I don't know if I ever would have heard about them if I hadn't. And they're going to be a pivotal product that we're going to use this season for our company. So, I mean, not just brands and clients, but it also opens your eyes to new and upcoming products that you might not be aware of. But then on top of that, if the same clients, the same brands, the same people, the bigger names are noticing you guys at every show, and then on top of that, all the clients that see our ads, I mean, we have over 2 or 3 million impressions on our Facebook ads that correlate with 2 or 3 million times our ads have shown up on people's pages, and they see those ads, and then they see us at the show, and they make that connection, and it just pushes them. It gives us more credibility, but then on top of that, it grows our brand, and it allows the clients to see that like we're real, like this is real shit. We're not just a Facebook ad. And so, yeah, I'd say that they're pivotal for bookings
Mm-hmm.
and for credibility.
Yeah, so I wanted to hear one thing. So, one of the biggest issues I think that happens is people go through the hunting season and they've one forgotten about them, but two they want to get on the books and book it. And even if it is available for them to get a booth, they don't have the financial like whereabouts of understanding like, hey, this is going to cost me maybe $4,000 to have this booth. They don't understand the financial benefit that comes from that. Like you said, you book $60,000 and it might feel like a risk to them. But how do you even go about budgeting to make sure that you have the cash flow outside of season to be able to book this?
You have to set up a fund. We call ours our travel fund. It's a fund that it's just an expense. You need to budget it in. You need to save for it. You need to plan for it. But the biggest thing that I will tell outfitters who want to go to these shows, that money might not come back. Don't book this trip. Spend that money with the intent of making money back. Because we've gone to shows. Baton Rouge and Little Rock this year. We didn't make that much money. I mean, we maybe had 12 or 14,000 in deposits, so 30 or 24 to 28 grand in total bookings. and it cost us $13,000 to go to this show. After we spent $8,000 on flights, 2 or 3 grand on, or $4,000 on hotels and food, and then another grand on the booth. I mean, it was 13, maybe even more than that, maybe $14,000 to go to this show, and that's all the money, that's all the deposits we made back. I mean, I have my travel fund for all of our stuff is $25,000 a year, and when you spend that kind of money, you don't expect to see that money come back. So I would say that if you're going to budget for it, you need to have that. You need to kind of plan it out about a year in advance, 6 months in advance. You need to go, okay, it's October. I know I want to go to this show in July, this show in January, this show in March, wherever all the shows are, this is what I want to go to. And plan that money out. You need to book your booths as soon as you can. Location matters. I mean, we got shoved in some shithole spots at the Ducks show, and it shows. I mean, they say 30,000 people walk through that event, and I barely saw 4,000 people at our booth. So, I mean, that's one of those things where, like, if you're shoved in the back in a shitty spot, it's not going to matter. So get your booth in, get it done early, get your deposits in. But on top of that, get your hotel. We didn't get our hotel at NWTF. We didn't book a hotel in the Opryland or whatever it's called, that hotel there. We didn't get a hotel there. We had to stay at an Airbnb that was a trash heap in Nashville, like 10 miles from where the show was, because all the Airbnbs were booked. We booked late. And so not only we had a 30-40 minute drive on rush hour traffic to get over to the show, and then we had to park and get in, and all, it was just a pain. So get your hotels booked, get your booths deposits in. You don't have to pay it all up front. Most places want $250 or half up front, and then you pay the rest later. It's pretty simple. And then save. Pull some final payments out. Pull some tips. If you're holding tips, hold some tips aside. Whatever you got to do, just pluck some of that money out and say, all right, this is going to be for my plane ticket. This is going to be for my hotel, for my food, for my booth payment. This is going to be for my bullshit travel fund if shit happens, Murphy's Law. And hold that money aside, because you're going to need it. And if you, just like everything else with budgeting, if you don't go into that prepared, well, okay, you rack up a credit card bill or something, but you still got to pay that credit card bill off. And at the end of the day, you better be prepared. It's better to be prepared than not. And it's more comfortable to go into these events. Like, you feel comfortable at these shows going into these events and going, okay, yes, I've got all the money to pay for this. I'm good. We're all right. And not have to go in there going, man, that cheeseburger's $12. Maybe I ought to get the $6 hot dog instead, kind of thing, where you're just trying to slim, cherry pick your way through there as cheap as possible. We've done that. It sucks. It's not fun. These are, on a way, they're like vacations for us too. Get out of town. Go see all of our friends. And we always come hang out with the guys at Mallard Bay. It's good to get out. And then on top of that, if you're going to go on vacation like that, it's important to be relaxed on that vacation and not have to be stressing about money. Oh, I have to get these bookings to make this money back. I have to do this. We got to do that. It's like I said, plan and then just breathe and relax when you're there.
Yeah, I mean, not all shows go according to plan. Like, we've experienced this, made mistakes on our end. Like, you're gonna fuck shit up. Like, or the organizers are gonna screw shit up. And that's just going to be the kind of name of the game when it comes to trade shows, is like, if you're sitting there and all you're worried about is how crappy the show's going or how little people there is compared to what you were expecting, and that there's no way you're going to make your money back and all of those different things, like, your face is going to say it. So any prospective client that would be interested in booking your trip, as they pass your booth, you're not going to be going out of your way to talk to them because you're sitting there sulking about how good the show is going. Right. So I do like that perspective. And I think it's one that we take to heart at Mallard Bay. It's like, you're going for brand awareness at the very least. Right. It's not all about the conversion. And when you kind of remove that from it, you can actually have fun at these shows. They're not just all business, especially when you're part of the industry. It is about going and seeing the people that you haven't seen in a while, or making connections with the brands. I love the ice eater story, because I remember you coming up to me after. He's like, oh man, we just found this great ice eater that's solar powered, and like, I bought 12 of them. And it just kind of goes to show that these shows have a lot of power, but you can't just be in it for the money. You got to be in it for the relationships and the connections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even to echo that, like, putting it into practice, one thing I've seen be super successful is when you do book a show, or even if you're not going to the show and getting a booth, go and look at the list of people that are going to be there. especially if you're an outfitter or for someone like us. Like, we know there's other brands that we want to intermingle it with, or you're going to politic with them because maybe you already work with them. So you want to go keep that relationship up. Schedule that time because you never know. Like, is my booth in a bad spot? On a map, it might look great, but it might perform terribly because that's just how the people walk and flow through the show. And you couldn't have predicted that. So you want to make sure you fill up your free time they're going to have, especially someone like Hunter or the owner of an outfitter. You need to make sure that you are like setting meetings with people that you want to meet with outside where you're having a lunch with them or you're getting dinner with them or you're going out to, if it's in Nashville at NWTF, you're going out to the bar that they're going to be at. Making sure to politic your way around through there. I've seen that be super successful, and it's kind of a way of taking the bull by the horns on these road shows and making sure that you make the most out of them. Because, like you said, Hunter, like you're not always going to get the bookings that you wanted, but you're going to get the brand awareness, and then you can go force your way into these relationships with other people. Hunter, I know last year at Delta Waterfowl, like you said, the bookings might not have been as big. It was the first year in Baton Rouge. I don't know if they're doing it again in Baton Rouge next year.
I
No.
believe
So,
Oklahoma City. So
Yeah.
all right, we're all over the place on this one. So, we'll figure it out. But you also were a sponsor of an event, right? The one that we threw after it. I've seen a lot of brands that might not have a booth, but they'll sponsor an event or throw a party after the event. And how'd that work for y'all? What was the point of it for you so that other brands and other outfitters understand why they should do stuff like this?
that kind of comes back to the way that I would say is you got to spend money. We spent a lot of money to be at the show, to be on, to host these events, to sponsor them, to do all that. But it put our logo, it put our name front and center everywhere. Just right up there, you know what I mean? You take all the other bigger brands and you put our name right up next to it, and all of a sudden everyone is looking at it. Oh, well, that's a big brand. That must be a big brand too. That also must be a big brand. And then they see our name later on and like, hey, those guys sponsored that party. We should book with them. They're credible. I mean, it's not, none of this is going to be an immediate return. You're not going to go sponsor the event. You're not going to go to the show. You're not going to leave. And you're not going to make $1 million. You're not just going to go to the show and all of a sudden you're the coolest thing ever and you're going to get bookings and they're just going to fly in. But it's one of those things that you really, it's in a way, it's untrackable. You can't know exactly what the return's going to be, but you just know that it's going to happen. Sooner or later, you're going to look back and you're going to go, wow, it's just a lot easier to fill these dates now. I'm getting a lot more calls than I used to get. I'm seeing a lot more emails. I have brands reaching out to me now. That's the biggest thing we've noticed is we went from reaching out to brands, reaching out to people, trying to get our foot in the door with conversations with brands, trying to get clients to come to us, to now we have clients coming to us, brands calling us, emailing us, texting us. I mean, we have our pick of the litter as to brand deals we want to have now. We have clients who call us for all of our dates. We have people who say, hey, we saw you guys at the show. We get people like, I've even had ads that I've posted, and on the ads we'll get comments and they'll be like, are you guys legit? Like, this seems like a scam. I don't know. I would never trust Facebook ads. And we'll have people we don't even know commenting, yeah, these guys are legit. These guys are great. These guys are the best outfitter you can go to. We've even seen people, yeah, we saw these guys at the Delta show. They were fantastic. You should go with them. I mean, we're getting people who support us and we don't even know them. They're not clients. They're just people on the internet who know the brand and give us credibility from however we got it. But it very well could have been because my name was up on the party or because we were a big brand at one of the shows. I mean, you truly don't know, but you can see the end results.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like you hitting on the point of brand, I think that's a huge deal. Like people can float I'm trying to get my brand up or whatever it is, get my brand out in front of people, and that can really mean nothing. But in reality, it's like brand is huge. Brand's almost everything because your marketing dollars that you're spending, the efforts that you're putting out, they go down as your brand grows. And so doing something as little as going to an event, getting your name up on a billboard, or not a billboard, but on a sponsor banner next to these other names, really getting yourself out in front of other people, you start to see that it's definitely a long game. It's not like the quick result that you're going to have, but it drives down the cost, your CAC, honestly, for all your clients coming in the door. And I love hearing that y'all are having that result because I remember when y'all first started, like, y'all were the new guys on the block. Y'all were the young dudes, like the oldest. How old were you when you started? You were the oldest one, weren't you?
I was
Yeah,
the youngest one. I was
you're the
20 when we
youngest.
bought
Okay.
our land. Couldn't
Yeah.
even
So
drink.
like, yeah. And there's people that the oldest one was what, 22? Grant, 23?
22. Justin and Grant were 21 or 22. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was what, 3, 4 years ago. And now look at y'all. And
hmm
so I think like
Hmm.
the efforts that y'all put into branding is something that has carried y'all a long way.
Yeah.
One
Well,
thing
hold on.
oh, go
I
ahead.
want to tell a quick story real quick. That kind of like demonstrates the power of what we're talking about. So 3 years ago, we were at Delta Waterfowl. It was their first show, right? We had the shittiest booth imaginable. It was absolute trash, but there was a very uh, small outfitter that was there that had been a customer of Garrett in Bourbon Media. We had just kind of acquired them, or we were just going through the process of kind of, I can't remember what was going on at the time exactly, but Joel went and talked to Hunter and Grant at the show, right? We had already lost them as a client, and all Joel did was, hey, we got nothing to lose. Let's go and talk to these guys. And here we are 3 years later, maybe it's 2 years. Couldn't remember exactly if it was in Little Rock the second year or the first year, but Hunter's grown his business to more than $1 million, or soon to be $1 million business, right? And we're sitting on the podcast talking with him right now about trade shows and the effectiveness of trade shows, right? That's crazy to me, just to reflect back on that and be like, wow, if Joel would have never gone up to Hunter and just been like, apologized for the experience that they had, then we wouldn't really be here, right? We could have all walked different paths. So it's just kind of crazy to hear that story, replay that story for myself and be like, wow, trade shows really do work.
And then, going into I wanted to hop into the next topic, but I 100% agree with you, Logan. I wanted to talk about lead magnets and the purpose, like what you see outfitters using as lead magnets to collect consumer data. Because yes, you're getting brand out there, but you're also there to collect data. We can get into, actually collecting deposits and all that at first or later, but I want to hear, what do you think the best practices are for an outfitter to start collecting people's data while they're at a show?
What we used to do, well, the first couple trade shows, we'd give away a hunt. Come, scan the QR code, do all that, and get your email, your phone number, all your information, and we'd get, I don't know, 600-700 emails, and it was great. And then we'd give away the hunt, pick a couple people, pick a person and their buddy and bring them out for a duck hunt. It cost us, $4,500 or something allegedly. We lost in the revenue, but we gained all those emails. And now what we do is, just like when you're doing leads and phone calls, you get a perspective. You're talking to Larry. Larry wants to book a duck hunt, but he just doesn't know. Well, Larry's a perspective. He needs to be closed. He might not be closed to the show, but hey, Larry, let me get your number on our phone. What's your email? What's your information? Pop it into the leads list, get his number saved in the phone, get him on the email list. And you know what? Larry might not end up booking this year, but you got his email in your email list now. And he sure as hell might book next year. And then you can call him and follow up. Another thing that we do is we literally just have a sign-up form. You want to be involved in our newsletters, our emails, all of that? Scan the QR code. You'll be added to our list. And believe it or not, a lot of people do that. A lot of people go, well, I'm already booked for this year. I don't want to do this year. I can't afford it, but let me scan this so I can keep you guys in mind for next year. Because the thing is like what you got to do as an outfitter, especially at these trade shows, is that you're not always going to have bookings right there on the spot. You have potential clients that walk by your booth hundreds, thousands of times a day. But those potential clients could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years out. So talk to them. Even if they're not as interested for this year, chat them up, get their information, try to get them on your email list. Have an email list. That's a big part too. Have an email list. Get them on there, get their information, and then who knows when, but at some point you might, like literally this year, we booked a group of 14 for duck goose, 14 at 2,400 a hunter. You can do that math. The guy goes, yeah, I saw you guys at Delta 2 years ago, but we just couldn't figure it out, but now we're ready to come. Let's book. And Grant booked him this summer for this fall, and he became a lead on our Facebook ad leads, and we called him, and he remembered us. He remembered that we took his information down. We had his email on the files. He was on our email list, and he just booked for 14 at $2,400 a person. Well, he did it back in June, but still, the point is that that shit pays. It might not pay right now, but it returns at some point. It almost always does in some way, shape, or form.
I think lead list is like kind of You're at least you're able to get their data and stuff like that. But I think when it comes down to actually someone who's coming to these shows that's ready to book, I would like argue a lot of people think and have this perception that when they go to the show, it's just kind of people going there to get like free shirts, free stickers, and they're just kind of like wandering around. But I think the reality is there's a ton of people that are walking around actually looking to book a trip. And it just so happens that they're available to come to Dallas Safari Club and all these other shows that are going on during these times. But one of the big, like, I think one of the biggest missed opportunities is just going with the intent to get their email and their phone number and just put them on the list. If you can actually convert that person at the show to put a deposit down, because they're going to go put their name and email on the next 4, 5, 6 other lists, and it's really just the race to the finish line with whoever can give them the best deal or sell them the best on that, or it's the next person in line that has the ability to take their payment right then and there. And I think for us with GuideTech, one of the biggest things that we want to say is like, with GuideTech, now you can accept that deposit right then and there. Like they can put their 50% deposit down or whatever you want it to be at the booth. So they're not going down the line getting marketed to and called by all these other people that they could potentially book with. And so I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on actually collecting deposits at the booth, because it sounds like you've collected a lot of money directly at your booth.
Yeah, that's always the end goal. I mean, if you can actually close them right then and there, close them. I would say that there is one thing, like, if you can't close them there, the odds of someone else at your price point that's going to close them are probably pretty slim. But let's be honest here, we're not the lowest priced outfitter at every show. We never will be. And some people, they just want to pay the least amount of money. They don't really, you know what I mean? You're going to get a different experience. You might get a different hunt. You never really know. Things are going to be different. We price our hunts and our packages based on the way we run our business, and our price reflects our experience. Now, you can go pay $200 a day, $100 a day, $150 a day, and go on a duck hunt or a goose hunt or whatever's hunt with an outfitter that's cheaper than us, and they might book, they might close you on the spot because it's cheaper, but that doesn't always mean the experience is going to be better. And then to add on top of all of that, it's just we have a certain clientele. Not every not every guy who goes on a guided duck hunt is going to be our clientele. It's just some people have different price points for their experiences and want to pay. They have their money what they want to pay, and then that's just not going to change. And then on top of all of that, I would highly argue that it depends on which show you go to, on how well your bookings. We don't need to throw shows under the bus here, but there are some shows that we will not be returning to because everyone is there for a free t-shirt. Whereas like shows, I will say, like Safari Club International, people go to Safari Club International to book hunts. That's not everyone goes to some of these other shows to book hunts. I can tell you from some of our time and some of our other shows that a lot of people are there just to buy free shit, to go to the vendors, to go buy duck calls or clothes or whatever. But you have to know which shows are the right shows for that experience, for those clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Safari Club International, I think, is the top one that I've heard so far. But I know it has like an absolute massive waiting list to even be able to get into that show right now, because everyone knows that's where everyone goes to book. But Hunter, I wanted to hear, sometimes people put too much thought into their booth, and then sometimes people don't put enough thought into their booth. People are concerned about how much it'll cost to even have a booth made. And so I wanted to hear your thoughts on like how much effort should go into creating a outfitter booth at these conventions, and should you let the concern of how much it's going to cost limit you to even going to these shows in the first place?
So, sorry, I'm looking through my phone here because what you said could not be more accurate. We went to, I don't have any photos of it. What a shame. We went to the very first show we ever went to was the Ducks Unlimited show in Dallas at the Texas Motor Speedway. We were 3 months into the company, maybe, if that. And we had a banner. We had a table with a tablecloth. We had like some calls, some knickknacks, some business cards, some notepads, some QR code stuff, and some photos. That was it. And we still booked hunts. And we had a really good show. I mean, we booked a lot of money at that show. But Does it look that professional? No. We kind of looked a little cheap. Like we did not look like a high-end outfitter. So as time's gone on, we got more banners, we got more props, some more displays. And even at this show in Baton Rouge, the last one we went to in July, we still are not at that level of professionalism that we want to be at. So now what we're doing is we have a custom backdrop being built right now, the whole custom booth display. Everything's going to be set up. We're going to start renting 2 booths and having a big old open space. We're going to bring furniture in for you to sit on and talk to us. Like we're going to start to kind of mold an experience. We're going away from banners, tablecloths, props, and pictures. We're starting to actually create an environment around us. And that's ultimately is what I think is the best way to do this. To have, if you look professional, if you look high end, people are going to take you more seriously. And if you just have a bunch of banners and photos and stuff, people will still take you seriously. Trust me. A lot of them will. We have the numbers to back that up, but not everybody. It's just not everybody will. And if you are not doing your best to promote your brand, then you can't expect to have the absolute best results. And we have learned that over our course of time with our shows.
Hunter, I wanted to hear kind of some last thoughts, I guess. I kind of have 2 of them. We'll go for the first one though, but what are your go-to strategies when you are at an event to get someone to convert into an actual deposit put through your GuideTech app?
The biggest thing we do is there's got to be an incentive, right? You have to be able to sell. We normally do small discounts on packages. This year I think we gave away a free pheasant hunt, an afternoon free pheasant hunt if you booked a duck package. We've given away apparel, shirts, hats. We've done discounts over the top on hunts. Sometimes you got to create scarcity too. I mean, I guess not even create. If you have scarcity, use that to your advantage. I wouldn't say lie about it. Don't do that. But if you have 3 dates available, be like, yeah, man, I've got 3 dates available. And I've had 12 people come to our booth all looking at these 3 dates. I mean, like I said, I'd highly recommend you stay away from lying about it. But if you have flat information that says, oh, I've got 12 people that have come here looking at these dates, use that to your advantage, because then it'll create a scarcity tactic and it'll make people think they need to jump on it right then and there. And if none of that works, you have to show them why this is their experience. Show them why this is the place. That just is involved as you as a salesman. But on top of that, you have to be able to reference your pictures and videos and photos. You have to get them in the moment to think, this is something I have to do. And if I don't do it right now, I might not get a chance to see this or experience this or go there.
Yeah, I have 2 cents on the booth design and kind of how to present yourself. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it, but you definitely won't figure that out during your first show. You'll figure out after your first show, but for your first show, and you're probably not going to figure it out till your second or third show. But you just got to try it at first, right? You got to start somewhere, and you learn every single show you go to. Our Delta booth here was the best we've ever had, but every other booth before that was the best booth we ever had because we just kept trying new things. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yep, same for us. You got to grow. You got to learn from every experience, and you got to fight to get better though every time. You can't be complacent at your shows, for your booths, for your sales, for all of that. You have to learn from every single one of those experiences to get better.
100%. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's even things you go and you feel like your booth is good, but then there's small things what's going to attract them in. And I've seen people I think it's big Texas deer, they'll do small little taxidermy of monkeys playing golf or something like that. They do they didn't start with that, but then they bring those things in over time from seeing other people do it. That just kind of draws in the attention to it. And so I think you start with the booth and how it looks, making sure it looks professional. And then it's, okay, what's really going to pull them in? What's going to make people comfortable to talk about? So I think it's constantly a changes growth approach that you're going to have, and just being okay with never settling with what you have currently. But it's just the effort of going and trying to make those adjustments. Hunter, one last thing, y'all's business is a year-round operation. All your employees, well, for the most part, most of your employees, but all the owners, y'all are all working in the business every single day around the year. There's, I guess, no such thing as an off season, or whatever people say. But how do you go about balancing the roadshow season and going to all these events and just a normal everyday operation of your business.
You have to plan. You have to be organized. It takes a lot of knowing your job, knowing your strengths, and capitalizing. Not all of us go to the road shows because not all of us are good salesmen. Not all of our employees go. This last year at Delta, we took all of our employees, and that was a mistake. We took everybody on a vacation, but we just ended up we were overcrowded. We had too much going on. And so we take less people. Take the people you need, and that's it. Keep everybody else organized and doing other stuff, working on maintenance and other tasks. The Rogers show that we go to every year, as an example, we went to Delta, realized we took too many people, didn't have enough work, or didn't have enough stuff get done. And then the next week at Delta, we took 7 to Baton Rouge, and we took 3 to Kansas City for Rogers. I mean, just got to know your strengths and know who's going to be best serving the company in what area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's been a growing challenge for us too, to be honest. Like even myself, like going to those booths, I'm not the guy that needs to be sitting out talking to everyone. Like I'm not that guy and I can just own that. But we do have people that are really good on our team about just getting out in front of people and are just eager to speak with them and kind of just share all the news about what we have going on. Y'all got any last thoughts before I kind of wrap this up?
I'm all good.
Maybe we could put some links to the shows that we're going to be at or shows that we're thinking about, just the sign up forms, make it easier for anybody listening.
I think so you're kind of giving away one of my plans, but I was going to be making a free list for everyone where it's got the show name, the date, and the link to click to go and sign up or to get on the waiting list. As a lot of us know, some of these bigger shows are kind of difficult to get on, but no better time to get on the waiting list than now. So I will be providing that. It is a lot of shows that happen all throughout the year, and you'll have to figure out whether these big shows are best for you, if the more local ones, or where you hit home with. But we're going to try to get them all in one place and available to anyone who wants access to that. It'll be just free for you to click on and use as a resource for you. But I guess we can go ahead and wrap this up, guys, outside of that. So I think really the kind of final thoughts is if you have road shows that you're wanting to go to that are in mind, or if you want to wait on us to get that list out to you, make sure to prioritize this in the busyness of the season. It's super easy to think about just what's going on today and not what's going on tomorrow. And don't let this opportunity of being able to grow your business pass you by, or expand your brand awareness pass you by. Make sure to set aside the time, do your research, and decide which shows are going to be best for you. And if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, share it with other people that it might help. And we'll see you next week on the GuideTech Podcast. Thanks, guys.